Hey guys, today we're going to be doing a unboxing and review and disassembly on this Predator Ghost Kart Racing engine, and I'll just do a quick. I'll let the camera catch the parts of the box here. You guys can zoom in if you want to, pause the video or whatever. But not going to spend a lot of time. That's the kit. The accessory kit you have to buy separately. If you want to, pause the video and look at it, that'd be fine. But it's just a few odds and ends, your header and stuff. Yeah, I noticed they got a sticker over here that says DLC coated racing ring package. That's stuck over something there, but I haven't peeled that off to see what it stuck it over. But and again, this is just to give everybody a view that wants to read the box, Feel free to pause the video and zoom in or whatever. We're not going to spend a lot of time here. Just a second. We'll get this thing opened up and out of the box and start taking her apart. Little funnel, that'll come in handy. And I did release a short video yesterday of my findings, and I just wanted to let you guys know as quick as I could what was going on and what I found on this thing. And I was debating on whether to release this video or not, but I thought, well, heck, since I've already made it, some guys might want to see it taken apart, so I'll go ahead and post it. But there it is. It does come with a spark plug wrench. It's pretty neat. It's kind of gold colored, but... And I like that red and black. Good looking valve cover. Side cover looks good. Kind of reminds me of the LCT engine side cover. The 179cc 49.95 deal. And we'll be going into that soon. I've got some footage of one of those builds. I'm working on a couple of those actually. All right. Yeah, I like the Ghost. I mean, the look of it's great. We'll get this side cover off and see what we got underneath. Yeah, the wiring on the switch is really easy. Just unplug one lead and then unscrew the ground on the front there. It's easy. And you guys know how to do these. 4 bolts. They're all 8mm. Pop them off. Good looking cover. A little oil on mine. I didn't do that. And yeah, I'm noticing that cast iron flywheel there. Yeah, I guess you guys already know this by now, but I was kind of disappointed. Yeah, it seemed to come off pretty easy, but I don't know. And there it is. There's the cast iron flywheel. Which, to me, this is a terrible idea to be on a go-kart engine. I mean, even though it's rev limited, uh-oh. Nope. Now we'll try that again. Yeah, even though the engine is rev limited by the coil, that cast iron is a bad idea. Anything above 3,600 RPM, and unless that rev limiter is set to 3,600 RPM, yeah, I wouldn't sit on this thing, or I wouldn't have it sitting by me. That cast iron flywheel is a bomb that's ready to go off at any time when you start revving that engine. And as a matter of fact, you don't even have to rev the engine. You know, I've had these come apart personally on mini bike engines that were governed. So yeah, that cast, not a bad looking top plate. It's just sheet metal. I didn't stick a magnet to it, but it certainly doesn't feel like aluminum, just a piece of stamped sheet metal. I would rather had a fuel tank with this. You know, those fuel tanks are not cheap, but hey, that's okay. This is made to be a go-kart racing engine, and you know, they have the separate fuel tank on them. So, you know, that's normal. And it does have the LG plug. That's better than the torch. No bracing on that block. First disappointment right there. This is just a standard block of some sort. Now, this is the DUCAR block. Yeah, we've got some bracing on that bad boy. And this Predator Ghost is not. So far, I'll get this rev limiting coil off here. And let's see, it's stuck behind here. Maybe I'll have to take a few more things off first. Yeah, so far it's got 2 strikes against it. The cast iron flywheel is by far the largest one, because that's a safety. There you go. That's one way of getting the carburetor off. That cast iron flywheel is a safety issue. This is a PZ22. Yeah. And it says Japan on there. Yeah, don't hold your breath. But it could be, you know, I don't know. It could be. I highly doubt it, but, you know, it does say Japan on it. But, you know, how many guys out there has got Makunis from made in China that says Japan on them? Me. Well, anyway, there's the carb spacer. This phenolic spacer. Looks nice, well made. Got to give them that. See if I can get this flywheel off. Hang on, guys. There's going to be a little bang here. I'm trying to be gentle here if I can, because I know these blocks, yeah, you can bust these blocks. These are not very strong. And I made a mislick. I kind of tapped that nut on the side. I think I may have ruined this flywheel nut, but that's okay. I've got several laying around. But I always try to screw that flywheel nut up where you're just hitting the end of the crankshaft and not the nut. And you see what I've done? I hit the side of that nut there and probably pulled the threads on it. I won't be using that again. Yeah, but if you remove your flywheels like this, guys, just try to get the nut screwed on far enough to where you don't hit the nut. You're hitting on the end of the crankshaft. The nut is there to protect your threads on the crank. And it doesn't look bad, but I'm not going to use this flywheel nut anymore. But that's okay. You know, we'll be replacing this cast iron with something a little better. I like the PVL flywheels, look really great. This is the one off the DUCAR 212 Hemi engine that I've got, the parts have come in for it, so I'm going to be completing that. This is the cast iron flywheel off the Ghost. Bad idea. Bad idea. I don't like that. And again, that's mainly a safety concern there. You know, I would not put this engine with a cast iron flywheel on a kart or a mini bike and let my kid take off with it. No way. Not especially since they're going to be turning high RPM. No way. And I'm just going to have to get over it there, Chris. You ruined the flywheel nut, so just throw it away and grab another one out of the box. Get my 8mm socket out here, and we'll get this valve cover off. And like the rocker's been touching the valve cover there a little bit. And this has got a different, little bit different retainer for your rocker shafts. It's got the, I'll get it out in a minute, but I'm just trying to break these head bolts loose a little bit right now. Nope. Take those rockers out first. And at this point in the video, I've not even noticed that yet. I'm looking for my screwdriver now because I'm getting ready to try to look for those E-clips that's holding those on, and they're not on there. What? Oh, okay. Now I realize it's got a, there you go. It's got a nut down there in the center. Well, let's get the right size socket first. Yeah, those, that little retainer there in the center holds the rocker arm shafts in place and keeps them from popping out on you. Well, come on. I keep grabbing the wrong socket here. It's 8mm. There we go, finally. And I gotta say, you know, of the points, I do like this better. That's much better, much easier than those little E-clips. It really is. So you gotta give them points for that. And I did it again. Sorry guys, I'm zoomed in and I forgot. My bad. I'll realize it here in just a second. For now, I'm just taking the clutch bolt off over there on the side anyway and trying to get the keyways kind of stuck in the crank. Yeah, finally I realize it's still zoomed in. Okay, now I'm going to get the 10 off. Because we know what happens if you leave that 10 on and you got to take it off after you remove the head bolts. The head drops down on your push rods. We don't want that. Very nice. Now, normally I mark these with the way they come out on the push rods and stuff, but since this is a brand new engine and it's never been turned over, never started, I'm not so concerned about it. Nothing's really worn or broke in yet. Now, had this been the engine had been run, then yeah, I would have been marking those. And there's the piston. It's looks like a dished piston with a valve relief cut. for the clearance for the Hemi head valve. And the Hemi head, it's a DUCAR Hemi head. That is a 24 millimeter exhaust and a 27 millimeter intake. To me, this is the DUCAR 212. Looks like the same thing. That part number is different on the Predator Ghost exhaust valve, 6870A. And let's see, 6870 on the part number on the DUCAR 212 exhaust valve. So, you know, evidently there's a difference. They look to be identical, but, you know, you never know. There could be some sort of performance advantage built in. Unfortunately, since it's a 24 millimeter exhaust valve, that's probably going to be one of the first things to go. Oh, these side cover bolts are tight. You know, the little impact wouldn't break that loose. Oh yeah, they've got Loctite or something on them. The little impact wouldn't break the side cover bolt loose, but it would break the crank bolt loose. You know, the flywheel retaining nut. So if that tells you anything. Yeah, you guys heard that. These things are tight. Oh boy. What are these supposed to be? 15, 17 foot-pounds or something like that? Which they probably are, but they've got some sort of thread locker on here that's really gummed up the threads. And the lady at the Harbor Freight store did tell me before I purchased this engine. She said, if you return it, there will be a surcharge. I said, well, okay, yeah, don't worry. I'm not going to be returning this, regardless whether it's worth it or not. But it's just something to know. You do have to agree not to install it on any vehicle that would be on the motor highway. It's supposed to be a, yeah, they've got Loctite on these. I don't know, some sort of white sealant of some sort. It's pretty hard, whatever it is. It may be the Chinese version of red, I don't know. But whatever type of Loctite this is, or threads locker, it's pretty tight. So that worked good. That's worked as intended. Come on. And the cam came out with a side cover on this one. Bearing side cover. And although the cam does not look like anything special, now I want to share with you some information. Since yesterday, okay, this camshaft, it's 549 thousandths diameter. So it is a clone diameter cam. And since yesterday, I have had time to run some tests on this cam and put the mic to it and do the math. Now, the intake lobe on the cam is 253 lift, 253 thousandths. The exhaust lobe on the cam is 251 thousandths on mine. So we do have, even though it doesn't look special, you know, it does have a little more lift on the intake and exhaust than a standard cam, the standard stock cam. So that is some points for the Ghost. It really is. I must say, I'm not as disappointed as I was yesterday. So, you know, we do the $300. Actually, we did get a little performance cam in there. You know, I still have not put a degree wheel on it to see what the duration's going to be and where the intake and exhaust closes. But I would assume, and this may be the wrong thing to do because you guys know what happens when you assume those. Yeah, by the way, those rod bolts were not overly tight either. And of all places they could have put Loctite, thread locker, This would have been one of them that I would have liked to have seen it. So, you know, you kind of wonder what's the reasoning behind that. Well, we're going to lock the side cover in place with thread locker, but we're just going to barely torque the rod bolts, and we're not going to put any thread locker on those. So, yeah, kind of odd there. Not really if you think about it. But yeah, with the camshaft though, I was pleasantly surprised, and I am happy with the camshaft. 253 lift on the intake, 251 on the exhaust. So, you know, that's what you'll have with a 1-to-1 rocker ratio, and I'm sure that's what these are. Now we'll see what the big deal is. Oh, that top ring is dark. The rod is a just a cast rod, LY. That's a clone rod. The rings, not really that low of a tension, in my opinion. But that top ring is dark. Instead of chrome looking, it's got a dark color. Now this is out of the DUCAR. The top ring on it is kind of chrome looking, and the middle ring is the scraper ring, you know, of course, is dark. So, you know, I don't know what process they use to make that top ring dark. I'll tell you what I have done before to do that. I've used a G96 gun blue on piston rings before, and that was just mainly for etching them. But it did turn the ring black like that. I'll put my little 1995 dial indicator on here, and we have 1 inch 179 thousandths. That's a little over there, but about a half a thousandths over. And this is a little under. So yeah, we're right at 1 inch 179 thousandths. That's a clone crank journal. This one does have a little outer round on it. Now this is the, let's see. Yeah, that's the crank out of this. It says cam on it. And that's supposed to be induction hardened. I don't know if it's any better than the DUCAR 212 Hemi. Looks to be the same. Has the same sort of grindings on the top there, at the top of the throw. So, you know, that's a plus. That keeps it away from your rod. Look to be about the same to me. I don't see any difference between the DUCAR 212 Hemi crank and the Predator 212 Ghost. So, you know, I gotta say, so far I'm not impressed at this point. I do like, you know, after finding out last night, after running the numbers on the cam, I do like the cam being have a little more lift. And this one, you know, I was looking at that block and I said, uh-oh, wait a minute, I've seen this before. Now, this is the Hemi, the 212 Hemi that I purchased, and I did it doesn't have a Hemi head on there now. That's actually the head off the 224 Predator that I did the Hemi head swap on. But I had purchased this engine to do for another build, and I just kind of robbed the Hemi head off of it. And I was looking at that block, and I'm kind of seeing something I recognize. This is the 212 Hemi. And I just wanted to verify it here, and I thought I'd stop the camera when I did this, guys, but you know, I was just going to cut, then bring you back to where I had this on the table. But sure enough, yep, this is the same block as the Predator Ghost. Yep, that's it. So they're using a Hemi block, and I think these are made by Lonson, or I don't know if Lonson is still making, and they're not drilling this casting out for the governor. So it looks like a stock casting block that they're not drilling the governor or the oil, the low oil shutdown switch cover hole through the block. So I'm really not impressed with the block whatsoever. It's just a stock block, guys. There's nothing else you can say about it. And here I'm doing some preliminary measurements. And at this time, I did not do the math. I just looked at them and I was thinking, this doesn't look much more than stock. But after I did run the numbers through the calculator, yeah, it comes up with 253 on the intake and 251 on the exhaust on mine. Well, that does it for the disassembly. And my review is it's not worth $300, although it does have a little decent cam. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. We'll see you next time.